It's in all the headlines, or titles of YouTube videos anyway. Nikon has outright purchased the company that just a couple of years ago it was litigating in court. The news is now more than a day old at this point, and I'm late to join the photography commentariat, since I live in the past. Actually, I was alerted by someone who lives in the future, who in turn was tipped off by someone only slightly ahead of me. Such is, I guess, the malleability of the time-space continuum. So since I heard, at midnight, I've had time to sleep on the implications. Not that I've really got my head around the whole thing yet. Wow! So where to begin? What we know at this point, aside from any editorial content, is that Nikon has bought Red outright. Red is the California company that has distinguished itself as a developer of some of the best digital cinema cameras to date, with cameras like the Monstro, the Komodo, Komodo X or 10, and the incredible 8K V Raptor X and XL. These are cameras that, for instance, are accepted by Netflix in their approved camera list. So now Nikon has opened the door, or perhaps we should say bought the key to the door, to the wonderful world of cinema cameras, joining Arri, Canon, Sony, Panasonic, and Blackmagic. Not that Nikon hasn't played a part in making great films, certainly documentaries, and they had cine cameras up until I can't remember when they discontinued them. But Netflix is more relaxed about its guidelines in some cases. I mean, no one's going to tell someone they can't include some GoPro footage in a film about, say, skiing the length of the Coast Mountain Range. And look how successful my recent ZFC firmware blockbuster was. Shot on an outdated GoPro 8. Seriously though, back to the Nikon Red contretemps. That erupted with the release of the Z9 camera that featured 8K internal RAW recording. Red had been very much playing the dog in the manger. I think I used that term, when it came to guarding what it saw as proprietary technology used in internal RAW recording. They even tangled with Apple. I think they lost that one. I did a short editorial on the lawsuit at the time, and later in September 2022, I added a shorter update in a sort of industry channel news video, as Nikon countered the claim, arguing that Red didn't deserve injunctive relief and that Red should pay court costs. I think I also commented on the final denouement as the matter was settled quietly, with Nikon and Red coming to some kind of agreement, the results of which we're maybe just seeing now. But basically, whatever went down, it was in Nikon's favor, in so much as we got to keep our NRAW, though I don't use it, because as I've explained on several occasions, I don't use DaVinci Resolve to edit my videos, and that's the only real alternative if you want to edit Nikon's NRAW codec, developed in conjunction with Tico RAW, who keep inviting me to register for trade shows in Europe. One of these days I'll have to take them up on it. Anyway, this latest breaking news didn't obviously happen overnight. The behind-the-scenes negotiations have been in the works for a while, I'm guessing, since that settlement. And today, or yesterday, it's in the past now, I think, we have Nikon, not as a partner, though it is a partnership in terms of joining together to develop cinema cameras, but Nikon is now the owner of the Red brand and all its intellectual property in its entirety. Did I just say that? It's amazing, isn't it? I'm presuming that's the way it is. But let's look at what Nikon has said in its press release. They say they've entered into an agreement to acquire 100% of the outstanding membership interests of Red.com, LLC Red, whereby Red will become a wholly owned subsidiary of Nikon. Wholly owned subsidiary. Holy smokes. The agreement, Nikon says, was reached as a result of the mutual desires of Nikon and Red to meet customers' needs and offer exceptional user experiences that exceed expectations, merging the strengths of both companies. Nikon's expertise in product development, exceptional reliability and know-how in image processing, as well as optical technology and user interface, along with Red's knowledge in cinema cameras, including unique image compression technology, there's that stuff, and color science, will enable the development of distinctive products in the professional digital cinema camera market. They promise to expand the fast-growing professional digital cinema camera market, building on both companies' business foundations and network, promising an exciting future of product development that will continue to push the boundaries of what is possible in film and video production. So now we know Nikon executives weren't fooling around when they pledged several times over the last couple of years to lean hard into the development of video. This is what they knew, and I guess we didn't, or we could only speculate about what these things might mean for future cameras and camera systems. But here it is now. It's for real, though we're no more ahead in terms of exactly where this might lead. But I'm thinking to amazing times ahead for Nikon and filmmakers looking for excellence. This makes me think about the filmmaker I mentioned recently, one of the "you don't need the latest cameras to make great films" people. And while that's as true in cinema as it is for stills, again, look at what I did with an old GoPro. Okay, enough of that. Technology does march on though, right? And the urge to improve and go where no cinematographer has gone before is very much a natural urge. I see Red says the same in its web copy as I did in my response. It's smart to future-proof. Way back in time, as a kid in England, me and my mates would go to Saturday matinees, and that was called, in England, going to the pictures. Though a good part of the attraction was the Top of the Pops music played at intermission. Nikon has always been going to the pictures, and this shows us absolutely that Nikon has not in any way abandoned that motivation to lead in the field of photographic imaging. Contrary to the, I'm going to have to be careful what I say here. Not that I'm afraid of ruffling feathers, but contrary to the doomsayers who recently struck Nikon out of the field of innovation. As a good friend of mine pointed out recently, Nikon makes some of the best lenses of any manufacturer. They even make their own glass. And as someone who's looked through generations of that glass, my only question, since I became interested in video production about a decade ago, was when we might expect Nikon, or Nikkor, to put its name to a line of cinema lenses. I mean, already the Z-mount lenses have been amazing for video, next to eliminating focus breathing, great chromatic aberration control, and something else that I've referred to as cinematic, especially in lenses like the 85mm f1.2, which I bought and I love working with, the 135mm f1.8 Plena, great stuff. So could this be something that this acquisition leads to? I'd be surprised, well, I'm not quite so surprised as I am today, if that didn't happen. And that leads to the next question. Will we see a Red camera with the incredible Z-mount? Surely the opportunities for lens design presented by the Z-mount are something that, I don't think I'm exaggerating, it's something that other brands have maybe been a little bit envious of for the last 5 years. I'd say it's Nikon's greatest contribution to that endeavor at the bedrock level. Now, when it comes to shaping the image, after the optics that is, Red have certainly developed some amazing technology, not the least of which the sensors that have demonstrated to audiences. Now, I'm not party to who's all involved in that development, and I would say it's pretty certain that we might never know. But if you have any idea, please do comment. I'm one of those people who Google film title, technical details. The sensor, for instance, at the core of the V-Raptor enables 17 stops of dynamic range in standard modes and up to 20 stops with something called extended highlights, whatever setting that may be. I'm not in the position to know exactly how this works in terms of processing or really expound on this technology yet. But I do know what dynamic range means. It's been my holy grail since I learned various zone exposure systems and development procedures like water bath development designed to exploit the greatest range of any film's curve, and I know a beautiful image when I see one, much to my wife's displeasure when I'm raving about stuff like that in the middle of a good film. Did I mention global shutter? Global shutter. Red has it, and now, practically speaking, Nikon does. I can't say that I'd be in the market either for whatever Nikon/Red might create. Not with, for instance, a Raptor X or 10 starting at $29,995, V-Raptor XL $34,995, V-Raptor XLX $44,995. Admittedly, there are more modest options, like the Komodo 6K starting at $5,995. But a set of lenses would likely set you back the price of a modest house. That's why most productions rent. But could whatever innovations come out of this event, could they trickle down to more consumer-level cameras? Say a Z9 II. I'd bet on it. I mean, Nikon already showed that kind of commitment in hybrids like the Z9 and Z8. The improvements even trickled into the little ZF. Back to that pledge by Nikon team leaders to lean into video research and development. It has already borne fruit, I'd argue, and it's incredibly exciting to think that we could get even a bit of that juice reproduced in 16-bit 8K with 17 stops of dynamic range, squeezed into the next hybrid, or more affordable cinema camera. Personally, I couldn't be more excited and more proud to be a Nikon user. For the last 40 years, as I say, I've been a Nikon customer, not just out of some misplaced sense of loyalty, but because of the images, the records of my domestic and professional life, the reliability of Nikon cameras and lenses to support my business. And again, since I branched out into video, the same thing. Yes, Nikon, I think it's safe to say, lagged in this area for a while, but as I've mentioned, there's always been something about the look of digital files from Nikon, how nice they are to work with. That has kept me hopeful that it was just a matter of time, and at my age, it's something that I do value, but it was just a matter of time before Nikon really took the helm. So if there was a period in which Nikon wasn't an innovator in terms of cinematography, I think this is a very specific signal that that's where the company wants to excel, and I think they will. It must be very exciting at this time for anyone in the company, and I've yet to actually congratulate my contacts through NPS Canada, but boy, I'd assume it's the main topic of conversation around the water cooler right now. It sure got me and my photo friends texting and talking via various platforms as we were in the early hours of this morning. Now, I've pretended before to be a conservative when it comes to guessing the next phase of any camera technology, but this announcement is from the horse's mouth, right? And this is two thoroughbreds who will now work as one team. I'm going to avoid the temptation to expand that metaphor, even though I come from an area renowned for its workhorses. And I'm no expert on equestrianism, to be honest. But I do think this is an example of where the fastest are not always ending up first. This has been Nikon's heritage, if you will. They might not always be first out of the gate, but they do have a history of coming up the backstretch and winning. And I think this is going to be a winning gambit. I certainly hope so. This announcement kind of eclipses news of a minor firmware update, though, right? My head is like, it's really spinning. So what do you think this will mean for Nikon going forward? Do you think it'll mean something in your daily photo and video world? Let me know in the comments, because I'd really love to hear what you think. And if you found this video useful or entertaining, please do give it the old thumbs up. And if this is your first visit to the channel, we'd love to see you again, so please do consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next installment. In the meantime, take care, cheers, We'll see you later.